Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand why an amendment bill to the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act which has been introduced in the parliament, it is sparking controversy. Now the reason why we are discussing this particular topic for our today's video because the union government has deferred a discussion on the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Bill of the year 2026 which was introduced in Lok Sabha on March the 25th. Now this bill, it seeks to amend the FCRA Act 2010 which usually regulates the acceptance and utilization of foreign contributions by either individuals or organizations like NGOs. Now, several opposition parties, they have alleged that such kind of an legislation would naturally affect the institutions belonging to minority communities, especially the Christians. So why it is courting controversy, that we'll understand, but to understand that we need to first go through what are the salient features and provisions of the FCRA Act. Then only we'll try to understand now what the bill is trying to amend, and then we'll try to understand why it has sparked a controversy and why it is relevant specifically for the state of Kerala. Okay, now the notes which I will be using in our today's session, you can download them also by going to a Telegram channel called as ETS Live, and while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. Okay, so let us start by understanding what is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Now this act for the first time was enacted during the emergency in 1976, because at that time the government, which was led by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi back then, it had apprehensions that foreign powers were trying to interfere in India's domestic matters. And how were they interfering? They were pumping money in those kind of independent organizations who were creating disruptions. And this is even true in India of 2026, because you can understand many NGOs, they receive foreign funds, and some of them, they use these foreign funds to generate protest against any public infrastructure project, eventually delaying the implementation of those projects. So you can understand this not just violates India's economic security, but sometimes it can also violate social as well as India's national security. Now, how this bill regulates foreign contribution, let us understand this. This bill regulates foreign donations done to individuals and associations who should function in a manner which is consistent with the values of sovereign democratic republic, and it also seeks to prohibit any activities that is detrimental to national interest. So let us understand what are key features of this act. First of all, this FCRA Act, which was amended once again in 2020, it seeks that no person or organization who is wanting foreign funds can accept it without a prior registration or specific prior permission from the central government, particularly the Ministry of Home Affairs. Similarly, who is eligible to register for this act? Let us understand this. Any organization who is registered under Societies Registration Act 1860, the Indian Trustees Act 1882 and the Section 25 of the Companies Act 1956, only they can seek permission from the Union Ministry of Home Affairs. Similarly, anybody wanting registration should prove their track record of at least 3 years in the relevant activities for which they are seeking foreign contribution, and they should meet minimum expenditure threshold, which is currently 15 lakhs in the past 3 years. So if you have spent on those activities at least 15 lakhs in the last 3 years, then only you'll be eligible to get foreign contributions. Similarly, this act also says that any foreign contribution that you are receiving should come into a designated SBI account which is located in its main branch in New Delhi, right? Also, it says that the restrictions are imposed on how you can utilize the money. For example, foreign funds cannot be transferred to any other individual or organization. So suppose if an NGO called as XYZ is receiving foreign contribution, they can't give this foreign contribution away to any other individual or organization. Similarly, earlier there was this trend that many NGOs, they used to spend a lot of foreign contribution on their administrative expenses. So in 2020, the government also tried to limit that. Earlier, 50% of total foreign contribution could have been used for administrative expenses. Now this only amounts to 20%. And the registration that you get for FCRA license is not a forever registration. You get it only for 5 years, and therefore after every 5 years, you should renew it before expiry. Ideally, the government suggests that you should start the process of renewation 6 months before the expiry date. So these are the important provisions that regulates as well as regulates the utilization and arrival of the foreign contribution to any individual and organizations in India. Similarly, there are some activities that are prohibited. Suppose if an NGO is involved in certain activities, they won't be able to receive foreign funds. So what are those activities? Let us understand. Now, if any applicant who represents fictitious entities or they have a history of communal tension, disharmony and seditious activities, they won't be eligible for foreign funds. Similarly, FCRA prohibits foreign funding for candidates who are contesting elections in India, people who are journalists, media persons, as well as judges, government servants and politicians, as well as their organizations. So funding for these kind of organizations and activities again prohibited as far as foreign contributions is concerned. Now let us try to understand what are the changes that have been introduced in this bill, because only after understanding the changes now we'll be able to tell whether these changes are controversial or not. Now, one of the biggest problems with the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act and their regulation in India was that there was no very much detail about how these regulations will be enforced, whether it will be central government investigation agency or state police authorities will be able to investigate it. The act had no clue. Similarly, what about handling of assets? Suppose if there is an NGO who has made assets using foreign contributions, but their license gets expiry. So how will you handle those assets? Similarly, the timeline for utilization of funds was not clearly demarcated, and this led to many administrative uncertainty. So what the government is trying to do here is trying to eliminate these administrative uncertainties by bringing some changes in the FCRA bill. For example, to investigate any cases relating to law enforcement agency with respect to foreign contribution, any state police authorities or any state investigation division, they need now to take prior approval of the government, that is the central government, before initiating the investigation process. Similarly, this bill also reduces imprisonment in cases of FCRA violations. Earlier, the imprisonment was up to 5 years. Now they have been reduced to 1 year alongside certain rationalized penalties. So all in all, the government is trying to ease the process of investigation by allowing it only by permission of central government, and they have also reduced the jail term as well as fines as far as the violation of FCRA is concerned. But this is not controversial. You know what is controversial? What I'm about to tell you right now. Now, this bill also introduces a designated authority for handling of assets. Now, a key procedure that the government has introduced, that the government, central government themselves will appoint a designated authority which will be responsible to take over, manage and dispose of assets which are created out of foreign funds if an NGO's FCRA registration gets suspended, cancelled or is not renewed. So this addresses a previous existing legal gap. Now, these could be transferred or sold, but the proceeds of whatever government earns from transferring or selling of these assets, they will ultimately go where? They will ultimately go to the Consolidated Fund of India, where the money from all the revenues of the Indian government actually goes. Similarly, if any NGO gets its license renewed or seeks a new license, then the designated authority will also return the unutilized assets or the funds which are actually meant for the original NGO. So that doesn't mean that the government will permanently take care of these assets. If the NGO's registration gets cancelled, then only the designated authority will handle it. But after it gets renewed, the designated authority will transfer it back to the NGOs. Now, what is most controversial here is clause 16A subsection 7 of this amendment bill. This amendment says that in case of transfer of asset of a place of worship, the designated authority will ensure that the management of these assets are given to such persons in case the religious character of such places should be maintained. So the government has taken care of the religious sensitivities in this kind of a period. Now let us try to understand where the controversies regarding this FCRA bill has actually started. Now, first let us talk about cancellation of FCRA registration. Now, many opposition parties are saying that in case if your FCRA certification gets cancelled because the renewal application was not processed within a stipulated time because of the government delay, then also your assets will then be controlled by designated authority. And this means, according to opposition parties, that charitable and other communities welfare organizations will remain at the mercy of union government. And that is why the Catholic Bishop Conference of India has stated that this FCRA bill would threaten the operational survival of many minorities, because these minority institutions and their civil society organizations, they depend a lot on foreign contributions coming from abroad for their social, educational as well as charitable work. So let us understand why this controversy becomes very important in the month of April 2026. Because in the month of April 2026, on April 9th, the state of Kerala will witness voting for the election of their state legislative assembly. Now let us understand how Christians are important in the state of Kerala. Now let me give you a fact that in 2011 census, the total population of Kerala was upwards of 3.3 crore people, and Christians constitute second largest minority in Kerala, who had population of more than 61 lakh people, and that is why Christians constitute a very important vote bank for all the political parties, and therefore the political parties are trying here to quote the votes of Christians, and therefore this controversy has erupted. Now let us understand whether this bill passes or not is altogether a different thing. But since this bill has been introduced in a matter of the time where the elections are bound to happen, so therefore this matter was politicized. Okay, so this was all for today's discussion. There is also a question that I've curated based on UPSC pattern on the discussion we had, but before that there is an important announcement. Now the act we are dealing with, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, and its implementation is a key part of GS paper 2 in UPSC mains. Similarly, all the important acts which are important for exams are covered in detail as far as our P2I foundation batches are concerned. Foundation P2I means everything that you need for prelims, mains as well as interview will be covered here, right? Now to take admissions in one of these batches, we have separate batches for 2027 and 2028. You can take admissions in either one of them. To take admission in English batch, go to the website, select English option, but before making the payment, if you remember to use the code ATS Live, you are going to get maximum discounts on all the courses. And the batches are going to start from few days of now, that is 7th of April. So do not delay taking the admission. Now, coming back to the question, this is the question that I've curated with reference to Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010. Consider the following statements. You know, because of the FCRA, 16,000 NGOs, they have sought registration, and 22,000 crores worth of rupees have come into India as far as foreign contribution is concerned. So you can understand why this act becomes very important. Try to solve this question as soon as possible. Do let me know the correct answers in the comment section. The ones who get it right would get a thumbs up from my side. Okay. So this is all from my side for today's video, and if you want to download the notes, you can go to this particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live. And while you're at it, do not forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, so this is all from my side for today. Wish you a very good night. We'll see each other again quite soon.